folks, welcome back to Jameson Run. As you can see outside today, we are less than bright and sunny here. It has been raining all day, and it's helping our grass grow and fixing our dirt road here. But for the outdoor activities, we're running a little bit short. Should be lighting some bonfires and things like that to get them out of the way, but we're taking a day kind of just relaxing. So I wanted to make a video on a new tool that I got. Long time ago, my parents, for a Christmas gift, gave me a set of Ryobi tools. It was a Ryobi tool pack, and I've been using them for the last 12, 13, maybe even more years than that. But the one thing that their toolkit did lack a little bit was with their circular saw. It'll get the job done, but it is definitely not the strongest, fastest kind of running saw. Tends to bind a lot, and just need a little bit of an upgrade on that. So we've been working on the shed project, and it was time to finally make that upgrade. So we went ahead and we purchased the new Milwaukee Fuel 6.5-inch circular saw. So here she is in all of her glory. Now, don't get me wrong, this is not brand new. I've been using this for probably about a week now. Actually got a little bit of use with it. And we're gonna go over a couple of stats. We got two different batteries with it, a 5 amp hour and a high output 8 amp hour battery. But the real reason I'm making this video is because there was a few things when I was doing my research with this saw that I couldn't find a direct answer for. I didn't see a video on YouTube for it. And those things were mostly the actual depth of the cut for this saw, because every model differs a little bit on those depths. And the one thing I wanted to make sure I could do was cut a 45 or 50 or even a 52 degree angle with my circular saw. Not that I use that real often, but I'd like to have that option, especially on a smaller bladed saw like this. The 7 1/4s, they do all those kinds of things. They have the most cut depth until you get into like the Sasquatch saws made by Skill with the worm drive and those kinds of things. But for a battery powered handheld saw, this one here is very light. I think it weighs in at like 6 pounds, 6.6 pounds, 6.3 pounds. But also for me, it's left-handed. I'm left-handed. And you don't find many left-handed circular saws. Skill makes one. I have that one as well, but that's a corded saw. Whole different ball game. This is for whenever you're up setting rafters or just kind of doing things on the fly per se. So that's what this video is going to cover. We're going to just touch base on these stats briefly. I mean, everybody can read. These stats are all the same as they would be on, Home Depot's website. So just for reference, we got a 6.5-inch blade. Arbor size is 5/8 inch, 6,000 RPM, which I believe is up. That's higher than the previous model. We have a max bevel capacity of 50 degrees. It does have a cut line blower. It does have an LED light. The tool only is 12 inches from front to back. The width of it is 7 inches, and the height of the tool, top to bottom, is 7.7 inches, and the tool alone weighing in at 6.3 pounds. So that is the model 2833-20 Milwaukee Fuel circular saw. Now, speaking of those weights, let's go ahead and take a look at that. Let's actually see what that comes out to be. Now, this is with a blade on it. I do believe that weight is without a blade on it. So we'll turn on our scale here and see what it weighs. Actually, being ready, to be used with a blade on it, because nobody uses a saw without a blade. So we got it set up for ounces and pounds. Go ahead and set that saw on there. Make sure it doesn't slide off. We can get a good view. All right, so nothing else touching it. Seem to be good to go. And we're coming in at 6 pounds, 11 ounces. Yeah, almost 6 pounds, 12 ounces, basically. We have one more ounce there. So, yeah. So, nice light saw. It does have the rafter hook. Love that. Useful all the time. Basic first impressions of this saw. Really nice to feel in the hand. The things that I really like are the slide here. This is, I mean, it slides nice. I know that sounds kind of ridiculous and silly, but some saws don't. You get into your cut and you're moving along here and it's gripping and it's pulling your saw. It's causing you to bind. That's no good. That's no good. So even in a wet condition, since we've been doing a lot of framing in this kind of weather, even with this slightly wet on the boards, it still has a nice slide. The cut marks on the front are actually accurate, which is a huge upgrade from some saws. I know that's kind of silly again to say, but yeah, yeah, so let's go ahead and take a little look at some of the features of the saw here. All right, so we got our saw here, and it does have a cut line blower, which is really nice. I'm not specific on how it works, but it does keep our cut line clean. We can see it whenever we're cutting. And this guy here, nice, just dumps all the sawdust out of the back of the saw. You got your slide here, your guard, and then your bevel adjustment is up here on the front of the saw. Just a nice feel overall to the saw. Nice weight, nice balance. A lot of saws don't have that. You know, whenever you put your battery on, it's actually weighted properly and evenly. It does come with an Allen key for adjustments, so whenever you got to throw a new blade on, change the blade, whatever the case may be, in addition to the belt clip. Now, something that I saw on a lot of reviews, people were asking about this screw hole here, or that adjustment. That comes like that. That's supposed to be there. It's not a spot for something else. From what I understand, that is just a spring tension for your guard here. So that's where your spring tension sits right there. So that is not for an additional screw or adjustment knob or anything like that. You can use this guy here, and that sets the depth of your cut. So it is actually really nice because it's marked on the back end measurement, but you can also go to your certain clicks. It has a very affirmative click in it. So really like that. Really like that. All the way down to 1/2 inch, and of course to its full cutting depth, which we're going to test here. Now, I also wanted to touch base on the weight of the batteries. So let's zero that out. There we go. Our, let's see here, our 5 amp hour battery comes in at 1.1 pound, 9, almost 10 ounces. And then our 8 comes in at 2 pounds, almost 6 ounces. We'll just say 2 pounds, 6 ounces. That could be the difference of sawdust on or off of it. So, yeah. So, awesome batteries there. So, add those to the weight of the saw, whichever one you're using. Yeah. But the real reason we're here is because we want to set up and we want to test cut depth. We want to test the actual cut depth on this. So, we're going to be using this, just cut off this scrap here. I know a lot of you dads out there probably save these for years and years and years and years. And then, hey, come on to something like this. We are finally going to use it, okay? So, we'll adjust this forward here a little bit. Try to get a nice flat cut. Now, cutting through, we're at the full depth right now. Yep, got that all the way up. We'll just throw in our 5 amp hour battery. Pop that in. We got a charge on that. So, cutting straight through is an absolute breeze. Like, no problem. We know that we're going to do that. We know that we have our full depth. So, let's get a good angle on it here. All right, so here we go. Pull this up. We don't have to be particular on our cut right now. So we're just going to nip this end off here. No problem. So obviously the depth of the full 2x4 is without any question. No issue. The question comes into play, which you could not get a specific answer, was whenever you set your bevel. So go ahead and pull that guy, and we're going to jump it out to a 45. So that's a common bevel cut. So, all right, here we go. Let's see if we make it the whole way through. No problem. Nice square cut. Whoop, saw's rolling away there. But yeah, cut right through our 2x4. So here is where it comes into play. This is a 6.5 inch saw. 45-degree bevel cut right through our 2x4. But let's go to the max bevel, which actually, it says on the box 50. I think it's actually, when I was reading, talking with a lot of guys, I think it was actually 52 because this sets back just slightly further so you can always make sure you get your 50-degree bevel cut if you're using that. So let's try it again here. Saw's way laid out here. All right, here we go. And again, right through. So no issue. Full use of, your bevel cuts, your bevel degrees, or what's available with the saw. It will cut standard framing material, which is really what this is for. This is for ripping plywood. This is for ripping your sheathing, your 2x4s, 2x6s, 2x8s, anything really 2x, which commonly is 1.5 nowadays. But let's do a full depth cut. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead, we're going to cut this guy in half. and then we'll stack it up and we'll get a full, just out of curiosity to see the actual full depth cut with it. So we got it set back to our 0. We're gonna rip one right through here. All right, now let's stack it up and get a cut through that so we can get a good depth. Yeah, it should be right about there. Should give us enough space. Make sure we're flat. Try to make it as even as possible. Really, we're just putting a second 2x4 in just for something to balance against. We're going to take a look at the front 2x4 for the full depth here. Get that out of the way. All right, here we go. All right, so now we got to take a little bit of a measurement. Before we move it, I would say we are 2 3/16 deep. I would say we're 2 3/16. But let's go ahead and set this on the table here and get even a little bit more accurate measurement. And what I mean by that is sometimes you got to play with this guy here a little bit. There's a little bit of a difference in the unit of measurement there. Ooh, got a splinter. So let's lay it here, and we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna start this actually holding the tape measure right where we're zeroed in on it. So you just pick a number, say, we'll go with 10 for an easy number. Start your 10 at the top. We know it's hooked there. We come down 2 inches, 1, 2, 3/16. So we have 2 3/16 inches of actual depth of cut with a Diablo 6.5 inch circular saw blade. This is a framing blade, so sometimes they do vary slightly in their actual circumference, or diameter, I guess I should say, diameter. So that could change, I mean, a 1/16 up or down with that, I would assume. But a nice deep cut, definitely plenty for your framing material. So that's kind of really what we're after, what we're trying to figure out. So awesome. So a little review on that guy. That's the stuff that I could not find whenever I was trying to figure this out. I actually had to call a buddy who has the older version of the saw and said, hey, you know, does it cut this? Does it cut that? Does it cut the whole way through the materials? And it does, which is wonderful. I would expect no less from Milwaukee. I mean, they are, in my opinion, the best of the best. So yeah, I'm sure I'll get a lot of comments in the section for that. But really awesome saw. It just cuts nice. It's cut straight. And you can get a lot of cuts. I haven't done any test videos on the length of cut or continued length of cut on a single 5 amp hour battery where you just keep ripping things. There's plenty of stuff out there on that, and I'm sure that varies between the actual thickness of the wood, the material, all those kinds of things. So we're not going that in depth to it, but an outstanding buy. I think I got this at Home Depot. It was like $250, and it came with a battery, the 8 amp hour battery. So it was a pretty good deal. I know they get a little bit better deals as you get towards Father's Day, sometimes Christmas, but we need it now. So we got the best that we could, and absolutely not disappointed with it at all. So thanks for tuning into this one. I hope I answered a couple questions that might be trickier for other people to find. I know Milwaukee on their website lists 45-degree bevel cut depth, but nothing lists the max depth at 50 or 45. So yeah, hope that helps you out. See it actually in action.